thought we started shaky, but then we went 55 unanswered, and so I'm still figuring out this team. We kind of sputter here or there on offense or defense, and it takes us a little bit to get going, but once we get going pretty good. And so we played better in the second half than we did the week prior, too. And still played a lot of guys. We were on the road, so we didn't have as many guys as we normally would have, but played a lot of guys and came out with a victory.
And looking ahead, I don't know if there's a whole lot that needs to be said about the matchup this weekend with Colorado School of Mines coming in number 3. Without giving away the whole game plan, what's probably one of your keys to the game, though?
I want the cup. I want the cup. That's the game plan. I'm quite sure they want to keep the cup. But when I found out that we played for a traveling trophy, it made it a little bit more of a deal for us. We try to treat every game the same, but there's no secret. They're number 3 in the country. They're coming here. It's homecoming. All the pageantry you want, all the college football surroundings that you can get should be here this weekend. So it's a really big game. It's probably the biggest game I've played since I've been here, and so we want the cup. That's the game plan.
Questions?
So Mines comes in. I mean, they've had a terrific year. They had a lot of guys obviously back, even though they didn't play last year. But I mean, just kind of looking at the stats, they basically doubled their opponents. You know, I mean, it's one of those teams that you can't really make a lot of mistakes on. It looks like.
Yeah.
Is that kind of one of the other things you have to tell your guys? You got to take care of the ball.
Yeah. Well, we tell them that every week. And so any football team, in my opinion, that you give the ball away to, you get penalties, you don't tackle well, they're going to beat you. This team is good enough to destroy you if you do those things. And so we want to do the things consistently that we know to do every week. But they look like a program that's been together for a long time, and they don't beat themselves. And so, I mean, they're engineers. They always got a plan, I guess, and so we can't beat ourselves either, and that's kind of what we've been talking about all year, but especially this week.
That game against Colorado State football a couple weeks ago, you guys went into overtime. How does that prepare you guys for a game like this against Colorado?
Yeah, so I look back at that, and that was probably our first big game since I've been here that people expected it to be a big game. I didn't make a big deal out of that because I didn't want to put that extra pressure on our players with us only being 3 games old at that point in the season. We're 6 games old now. We know who we are. This is a big game. We're not playing it down. We've taken a different approach from my standpoint on how we're going to approach big games. And when you come to Colorado Mesa, you're going to be in big games. That was the hope for the program. Well, here we are. Got a chance for first place, got a chance to beat the number 3 team in the country, and got a chance to put on a good show for our fans. That's why you come here, and so we're approaching it that way.
Coach, a couple firsts for you kind of these last couple of weeks. I remember a couple weeks ago you said it was like your first halftime deficit. I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, first 50-point win. What are these kind of things like for you?
Yeah, Dave didn't even tell me that. You're the first one to tell me.
I don't know. I'm just
no. Dave normally keeps me up on that stuff on the bus rides back, but
I gotta keep some stuff.
no, you know we've had a lot of firsts, and all those things are monumental for me because as a head coach in this role, I hadn't done a lot of those things. My team personally hadn't done that, but most of all, we still got really young players. I think a lot of people think because they're transfers, they're really old guys. Some guys are really old. But we got a young quarterback who he's only 6 games old as a quarterback. We got a young offensive line. We got young running backs. And so we've got some guys that we need those first so we can get that stuff out of the way and learn how to play when we're ahead by 50. Learn how to play last week, 2 weeks ago when we were ahead by 35 at the half. So those things are all beneficial. It gives us the experience that we need to become a complete program.
What kind of growth have you seen from Carson? I mean, first game, he comes out of the chute, looks really good. He's had some dips like every quarterback does, but it just looks like the maturity level for a third-year freshman But he's really figured this team out, it looks like.
Yeah, he's a fighter. And so when you're a fighter, in spite of the situation, you just find a way to fight. He takes coaching really well. He practices at a high level. I think he prepares himself really well. And so he's had some ups and downs, but we tell our guys all the time, you don't judge a man by the mistakes he makes, you judge him by how he recovers. He's recovered from mistakes, and he's bounced back. And so you like to see that when you're sitting in my seat, because you know a guy has the keys to your program that's going to always give you a chance.
It just doesn't look like anything bothers him. I mean, gets blindsided, fumbles, he just comes back. I mean, it bothers him.
Yeah.
But it just looks like he's able to say, okay, forget about it, we'll look at the film later. But
he's a true next play guy, Patty. Like, sometimes you want him to get mad, but he's truly a next play guy. And I think a lot of that has to do with him being a 9-man high school football player, where he didn't have time to dwell on what he did at quarterback because he had to go flip and play free safety and continue to play the game. And then after the game, he was able to kind of see the mistakes he made. So he just keeps going. And so we're happy that he's our quarterback.
Avion looking better?
Yeah, Avion can play. He can actually play. It's kind of hard when you got Derrick Holmes with 8 carries, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns, I believe, to put Avion in the game. I mean, we kind of played a hot hand, but he's available. He'll be ready to go this week, and I think we're back to full throttle at running back like we were in the first 3 weeks.
When you say it's one of those things where now you've got 3 healthy starters, and you've still got a couple guys who have been starters want to play and ready to play. So you just kind of rotate them is the plan, or
it's like a point guard in basketball. Whoever shooting well and distributing the ball well and doing the right things, that's who we go with. So Coach Macon has a tough job. I don't bother him. I think we all see who has the hot hand, and we keep that guy in there. I think Derek, we ran him completely into altitude, whatever you can call it, where he was breathing heavily because we had the 55-yard run last week, and then we called it again and put him in the end zone. I don't think he knew his name when he crossed the goal line. But he, whoever's playing well is kind of who we play, and we'll continue to do that.
Does it help being able to have 3 people that could be starters and just knowing that whenever you put them in, you're going to have a good person in that position?
Yeah, it helps. Hopefully we can get to that point across the board at every position. I've had coaches come up to me after the game and go, man, your backup running back would be my starter. He probably rushed for 1,000. Well, that's encouraging for us. It lets us know that we made the right decisions in recruiting. That we hit on some guys that we weren't sure about, because you never know until they get here and they start performing. And so it's a credit to our coaches for getting them developed, and then it's a credit to the offensive line for just blocking and making it real easy for any running back. I think one hole I saw I could have ran through and got about 25, 30 yards myself. So those guys continue to do a good job up front too.
Defensively, your kids played extremely well last week. They're coming off a couple of really good performances, and now they're up against probably the best offense they're going to see, at least until playoff time. Is it just a matter of everything's got to come together at the right time, at the right place?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, man, I stay out of there. They're doing well without me in the room. So Coach Anderson and his staff have done a really good job of game planning. You look back on it, we played 12 halves of football. Those guys have had one bad half. And so to go 11-1 in 12 halves of football, there's a lot of people across the country, as you cut the TV on, that will slap their aunt to have 11 good halves of football on defense. What I know about them is they're anxious to prove that they can be the best in the country. And so what we've done is we've said, let's not worry about competing against Mines' offense. Let's compete against their defense on defense. You're looking at 1 and 2 in the conference in defense and in total offense and or scoring offense. So we're competing against people that we're not going to even play against, because that's life. You're competing against people that you're not going to even see. And so we've taken that approach to where our defense is going to compete against their defense. Our offense is going to compete against their offense. We know that they're great on defense and they're great on offense, but if this thing is really about us, then let's go compete against people that we're not even going to play against. And they've taken that mindset, and I'm proud of them for it because they go out to do that every weekend.
I know, rankings don't matter, but I'm guessing Mondays aren't real happy sometimes when you see rankings. We got one double overtime loss.
Yeah.
And we can't get more than 3 votes. I mean, are the kids?
No, I'm more mad than the kids. Here's what I know. You got to prove in Division II that you can play. Nobody's going to give you anything. I look at the FCS rankings that after being in the FCS, there's a 3-3 team like in the top 20 or something like that. That doesn't happen in Division II. And what people don't know is the top 25 really don't mean anything. 7 is the number we're trying to be in. We're trying to be in the top 7 when the regional rankings come out because that's what gets us in the playoffs. I've been number 16 in the country and didn't make the playoffs at 10-1. I know what that feels like. And so the top 25, the AFCA guys, I called them yesterday and said, y'all don't know anything. But at the end of the day, they don't have to because we can make them rank us by going to play a complete game this weekend and finishing the rest of our schedule. So if we want to be ranked, it's real simple. It's a simple formula. Just go beat the number 3 team in the country and you'll get ranked. And if you're not, go beat the number 24 team in the country and so on and so on. But that's Division II. That's why I wanted to be in Division II. There's no bowl games. There's no I'm going to get a PlayStation for winning 5 games or 6 games at a bowl that nobody watches. You have to make the top 7 at the end of the year. In order to do that, you can't lose more than 1, maybe 2 games, especially in this region in this year. So I'm the only one that's upset on Mondays. The players are laser focused on doing what they got to do to be in the final 7.
Question of the week.
If your life was a TV show, what would it be?
Okay. So I was thinking about that, right? Because you really didn't give me a lot of time to think about it. So I'm on reality TV, right? So I'm a big reality TV. So my reality show would be like Love and Football or Love and Division II football coaches. And I'd like to see how that, I think if we get WeTV on the deal, they'll like sponsor that. It's like the reality show capital. So Love and Division II football.